let me go ahead and introduce. I've been working with Adel now for years now, putting this stuff together. So I'm thrilled to introduce Adel on machine learning and AI features and integration. Adel, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, guys, can you see my screen?
I can see it. Looks great.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan. Okay, hi, everybody. Welcome to our TechUs Demo Days and welcome to my session. My session is about Oracle Analytics Cloud and all the machine learning and AI features and integration that you can do with that. So first of all, I just want to let you know that I work for a company that is called IT Conversions. IT Conversions is a global company that has consultancy support in everything in Oracle, from EBS to analytics, data integration, and database. And we have offices in onshore in US, in Chicago, Dallas, and Atlanta, and also in Latin America, in Argentina, and in offshore in India. So we have, global presence, and we are more than 600 employees. So it's a very, very big company. I'm the director of AI and machine learning right now in ITC. And this is just me. I'm Oracle's director. I have been working with Oracle technologies for more than 20 years. It's a little more than 20. And I usually speak at international conference. I kind of miss the in-person conference, but it seems that this year is going to change that. I also very active in the Oracle community. I co-founder and the VP of Uruguayan Oracle User Group. I'm from Uruguay. Director of Education in the Latin American Oracle User Community, and I'm board member of the Analytics and Data Oracle User Community. And if you're wondering, where is Uruguay? Because you can ask about it. Well, Uruguay is right there between Argentina and Brazil. This is Montevideo, the capital. I live there. In fact, I live in one of those buildings. This is the main square. And this thing that looks like a mothership is our airport. Okay, so before going into the OAC details, I would like to talk a little bit about what is augmented analytics. This term that, we have been heard this term for many years lately, but it's important to understand the concept and why is this important, right? The idea of augmented analytics is that an analytic product, a tool, has some AI and machine learning technology inside that empower business with this AI and data-driven insights without requires some knowledge of AI and machine learning. In that way, what we are going to have as a benefit is all the analysis is going to be faster. You have more accurate insights because you don't have the bias of your own perception of the reality. And that brings a lot of value to the business, reduce analysis, the time that you perform the analysis, and give the possibility that you be ahead of the competition, which obviously in a very competitive market is quite important. So the other thing that is important for you to realize is that you have many types of users in general. So this is not like, and this type of users don't have the same set skills, okay? They don't have the same skill sets. So you can have some people that just consume the data that others, the content that others created. You can have someone that knows pretty much about the business, but is not familiar with the data set, this type of business users. And then you can have some super users, and the guys are master Excel, they can do whatever, and they can be more related with the concept of citizen data scientist. And then you have the IT people, right? The data scientist, the BI developer, and all of these users can have advantage of using OAC, and they can have their own benefits and their own set of features that can be used in OAC. So the type of augmented analytics things that we have in OAC, and I just highlighted the most important ones for me, is you can have the dataset recommendations, analytic functions, language narrative, so a description of what you are seeing in a data visualization, explain feature, which we're going to see what it is, and audit insights. These last two for me are the most important ones. And after this, I will, like, instead of showing all the slides that I have, go to the product, because today is a demo day. So bear with me. This is not a recorded demo; it's a live demo. So yes, I'm taking that risk for you guys. So bear with me. Okay, so this is the Analytics Cloud. What we're going to do right now is just create a very single data set. Just for you to know, in case that you haven't seen that before, you can have data sets. You can you can start using data from many different data sources, right? What we're going to use right now, just because I want to do it, very quickly. I'm going to have just an Excel file, right? That I'm going to upload it to Oracle Analytics Cloud very easily. Okay, I can see a preview here. What is a measure, and what is an attribute? I can change that if I want. And I will add it. Let me put it another name, as I already have it in the cloud. And once I add it, if you see the right panel, you will see some recommendations that the tool is giving to me with regarding this data set. So this is a very simple data set, but if you have a more complex data set, for example, with a credit card, or with a credit card number, or with a security number, it can also recommend some things more complex, like, for example, encryption. And you don't have to do that. So for example, in that case, I can see in these 22 recommendations, which ones are for each column, right? So imagine that I go to customer name and said, he recommended to extract the name and the last name. Yeah, I can do that. And just with one click, I have these two other columns, one click, okay? I apply the script, and that's it. I have a data set with these new two columns in 2 seconds, okay? And then I want to create a workbook. I want to create new content, right? New data visualizations based on this new data set that I'm just uploaded. So I have here all my columns, okay? I can also create some calculations. I don't have any, right? Just I wanted to show that. And I can start just dragging and dropping. For example, I can just drag sales and the typical thing, right? I can drag the product category and drag, for example, and if you can see all the, that was just one column in the Excel file, but he created me a hierarchy, a date hierarchy on this, which is very useful. In fact, I want to use that one. I want to use quarter, okay? And I have my data visualization, but there are some columns that I'm not quite sure about what they are. So I can do something that is called explain. So the explain feature, which is a machine learning feature, is to select one column, which could be a measure or could be an attribute. And for example, said, okay, you know what? I want to explain what product container is. I want to understand that. And he will show me some basic facts about container. And what are the relationship with, for example, the measures in the other columns in the data set. I can also see what are the key drivers of the product container, the segments that explain product container, and anomalies of product container. So I can select, and I will do very quickly because I want to show you a lot of stuff. So I will do it very quickly. Okay. And just right there, I can add, and it create me a new canvas. And I didn't create that, right? I just select some of the content and I can change it. I can use, instead of the, for example, I can modify some of them without any problem, right? So this is one of the things that are quite good, just to start working with it. There is a new feature in this version, which I really, really love it, which is called Auto Insights. Auto Insights, and if you can see the bulb here, okay, I can create a new canvas, okay, and it shows me some content, and it's not regarding just one column. It's about the whole data set, some insights, some data visualizations that OAC thinks that it will be helpful for me to have it. And I can select that ones. Maybe I can create some of these data visualizations, which maybe I didn't think about it, and he helped me with that. Okay, it could be some very forecast of discount, for example. Okay, I can do, I can select all this if I want. And this was what I create a more complex canvas in a few seconds. And one thing that is really, really great is that all the calculations that these audience size are used, I have access to them right now. So if I want, I can create something very, very specific with the calculations that I haven't created. So, and I can inspect them, right? So for example, I can edit calculation and see the formula, right? But I haven't created that. So this is very, very useful, and it is useful for many reasons. First, obviously, create a new content for a new data set is pretty easy. Second, it can give me the possibility to create some data visualizations that maybe I haven't think about it. And third, I can have more content with these calculations and start working with them, right? So that is very, very fast. And that, brings a lot of business value, especially for business users that doesn't have the skill set, or not familiar yet with the data set. So after this, we can save this data set. I cannot see it. Sorry, I need to change my glasses and I'm just refusing. Demo project. Well, we call it workbook right now instead of project, just a change in the name. Okay, so I save it in my folder. And then one important thing that I want to show you is how to enable this. Okay, so let me go to the console. I already saved it. I don't need to save it again. And if you are, for example, if you create a new Oracle Analytics Cloud instance, this feature is not enabled by default. It will be enabled by default in the next version. But right now, it's not enabled by default. So what you have to do is to go to the console, okay, go to the system settings, okay, go to performance and compatibility, and go to enable Auto Insights on datasets. I already have it enabled, okay, for this presentation, but it wasn't enabled at the beginning, right? So this is something that you just have to keep in mind. And the second thing, when you use a new data set, so imagine that you enable it right now and you have like 10 data sets already in your Oracle Analytics Cloud. You need to enable to let Oracle Analytics cloud knows that you want to use all insights for those data sets too. So what you have to do is go to data. Okay. And for example, go here and inspect. Okay. So this data set, for example, it wasn't enable insights. If I want to enable insights for this specific data set, I have to change to check it and save it. Okay. Perfect. That's it. And that is enable. One thing that is important also is the first time that you enable in the console, a few times I have to log out. When I did it, I had to log out and log in again in order to see this all insights enable. Otherwise, we are going to see that when it's not enabled, you're going to, I don't know, for example, to go to any workbook, and you won't see that bulb. Okay, you won't see that icon. It's not appear here. If it's not appear here, not yellow, not nothing, it's because it's not enabled. Okay, so you have to go to the console or ask your administrator. When it's yellow, it's because it has some insights to share. Okay, so you need to give a few seconds, in fact, to turn from white to yellow. Okay, but there's more things that we can do with if I'm business users and I want to create my content. So let me come back to the project that I was working with. And for example, I see this data visualization, but I'm not understanding very well what it is. If I have to explain, for example, to someone else, like my manager or something. So one thing that I can do is to duplicate that one. Let me go to edit, duplicate visualization. And I'm going to change the data visualization type to a language narrative. So right now, and let me just delete this one so I can have more space. And if you see here, that is an explanation of this data visualization, right? So I can, explain a little bit more, read about it, understand better, and also to share this workbook with others and give also that explanation, right? This is very powerful. And if you change it, if you add more stuff, that is going to change too. So it's very, very powerful. Okay, another thing that you can do, and let's come back to my simple canvas, the first one that I created. So I create this one. I can create, for example, another one like sales, and I can create a new data visualization, sales per month, for example. Okay. Okay, so let me duplicate that canvas. I can also do that and delete this visualization, so we can see it a little bit bigger. I have this option, okay, this icon, to use analytic functions without having to build it. For example, I can use, you see that in the graph that you have many peaks, right? But this is growing. I think that it is, but I'm not quite sure. So we can have like a trend line, okay? And we can also have a forecast. So what is going to happen in the next, for example, 3 months? Okay, and I can go here and also change the periods. So for example, have 6 months. And this is forecast, right? And again, how long it took me to build this. So this is very, very powerful, specifically for business users, right? Obviously, if you're working on IT and you need to, to create a dashboard very quickly because you have a meeting in I don't know, in 1 hour, and you need to create all the stuff. So the business users, maybe it's a business user that just consume the content. You can do that too, right? It's very, very easy. So coming back to the slides to see if I'm not missing anything. We talk about the data set recommendations. Okay, we talk about explain feature, the all insights in data sets, how to enable them, the narrative, Oracle Analytics Cloud functions, and we are going to a higher level. Okay, so this is augmented analytics, all the things that I show you. The next step is, for example, imagine that you have some skills, you understand machine learning, but you are not creating machine learning models. Okay, so you can be a business user, maybe a citizen data scientist, a super business user, as I mentioned before, and you want to play with machine learning, but you don't have the skill set to create a machine learning model. No problem. So you have 3 different options here that you can use. First is the native OAC machine learning, which is based on Python. The data using database analytics, which is the possibility to use the analytics in the Oracle database with a predefined model. And then graph analytics that you can do some geospatial analysis, again, without creating something by your own, right? So let me start with machine learning. So if you're not familiar with machine learning, this is the process to create a machine learning machine learning model. So the first one obviously is understand what you want to do, then prepare and analyze the data to build that data set. This is usually the part that takes more time in a machine learning process. Then you need to build and train the model, evaluate the model, and deploy. But with OAC, you can just select which machine learning model do you want and train a data set. So you will need 2 data sets, one for train the machine learning model and another one to apply this machine learning model. And you have basically 2 big groups of machine learning models in OAC. You have the supervised ones, which is, for example, numeric prediction, multi-classifier, binary classification, and unsupervised, which will be trained clustering. So numeric prediction, an example could be the rental bike sales prediction. So numeric prediction returns me a number. Okay, so I want to see how much bikes I'm going to rent in the next 6 months. Multi-classifier is for results that it will be more than one classification. Okay, heart disease prediction is like you're good. You have like a 30% probability that you're going to have a heart attack, or 60 or 90. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 results, right? This is multi-classifier. And binary classification is you're going to return 2 results. Yeah, like for example, attrition prediction. How is the tendency that people has to leave? For example, imagine human resources that wants to find out why the people is leaving the company and which type of people has more tendency to leave the company. And that it can be done by a binary classification machine learning model, to specify attrition, say yes, no, that person has tendency to leave, yes or no, right? So let's come back to the tool and go to the machine learning model. Okay, let me come back here. Save changes, yes. Okay, perfect. And then let's go to machine learning. So imagine that I'm going to work with 2 data sets that I already have here. Go to data, and let me show you. That is attrition training and attrition predict. So attrition training, if I'm looking at it, okay, he asked me to, he showed me that he can give me some information about it. But it's a data set that has already the attrition. So it's information for some people in the company, a subset that I know if they left or not, right? So this is the supervised learning, okay? You train the machine learning model with something that already has the result, right? So let me do this very quickly. How we can do that? We can have to create a data flow. So a data flow is like a mini ELT process, ETL process, if you want, you know, like a workflow. So let me select my data set. Attrition predict, attrition training. Here we are. Just add the data set that you want. And we need to add a new step. And that step is I want to train this. I want to create a machine learning model in Oracle in Cloud. And I want to use this as a data source for this machine learning model, as a training data. So if you see here, you will see all the types of machine learning model that you can use. We want to have a binary classifier. This is all the 2 classification model script that Oracle in Cloud offers. I will select naive Bayes for classification. I have to select a column because remember, in the training data set, I already have my answer. So I need to train that machine learning model with which column I will need as a result. So positive class in target, yes. Okay, I will use 80-20%, 80 for training, 20 to test. So I will keep the default results and go to save model. I will create a new data set with the result of new. Sorry, I want to save the model. I am going to create the machine learning model. So I am machine learning attrition. Okay. And then when you press run, it says, okay, but you need to save this data flow. No problem. Okay, save and run. It will take a few seconds and it's going to create a machine learning model in OAC. Okay, this is everything. Everything is working in Oracle in Cloud. I'm not working in a database or anything like that. I'm just working with the possibility of creating machine learning models inside Oracle in Cloud, right? So once it's finished, we're going to see that this machine learning model, okay, that the flow is already there. So let me go to machine learning and see just now, okay? I'm not lying to you. Just now I have this machine learning model already created. And then because I have it, I can apply it to other data sets. And the way to apply it is also using a data flow. And I'm sorry that I'm going a little bit fast, but we need to do it because of the time. So let me use attrition predict data. This data set, if you see, you have a preview here, doesn't have the attrition. I want to predict that. So in this new data set, how many of these people has tendency to leave, okay? So I'm going to add a step. Remember that it's a leave demo. Apply model, and I will select my machine learning attrition demo that I just created, okay? I need to put a value for the target column. He's going to create that attrition column. I don't have it. So attrition predicted. All the other columns are matching. Otherwise, if not is the case, if they have different names, you have to match it. But because it has the same name, here we find out that this is a match. And I'm going to create a new data set with this information. So this new data set is going to contain the attrition and the prediction column, right? new at breadth data dem. Okay, and I can store this in a database connection on a data storage. I will do it in OAC. It's a small amount of data, so I can do that. Okay, and save also the data flow. Okay, save and run. And that is going to create me, it's going to apply this machine learning model to this data set and build a new data set so I can analyze it after this. If you see, and I'm going to come back to data. Let me see, I just create a new data set. And this new data set has the attrition prediction. And I can start, or I can use also the other insights, but I can start creating some content. Okay. Simple like this. Okay, so I don't know how to create a machine learning model. I just, in 5-10 minutes, I just train a machine learning model and apply it to a new data set, right? And analyze the information. Okay, then. So this is for machine learning model. But in data sets, and especially, and just when you have, let me create a data flow. This is an autonomous data warehouse data set that I'm going to use. Select everything. Yes. So when I have an Oracle database on Oracle autonomous database, I can use something that is called database analytics or graph analytics, right? So database analytics allow me to run some machine learning models, but without having to register them. So this is I'm going to use, these analytic functions without need to have a predefined model, right? And I have all these options. I can create a cluster, and I can have an anomaly detection. I can have a text tokenization. So this is the option that we have right now. And I can select one and just select what is the field that is going to have the token, right? And you can use it right there. You can also, in the same thing, you need to have as a data source an Oracle database or an Oracle autonomous database set. And you can use some geospatial analysis, okay? So what is the shortest path in a graph, the node ranking, okay? So how much hopes we have in a graph or a subgraph. So this is very, very powerful. If I have to do this by my own, if I am business user with some skills, but not all these skills, I will need to ask IT people to do it. And that will take time. But because we have the possibility to work it here, I don't need to ask IT people, and I can do it myself. Okay, this is very, 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 very powerful. In case you are using an Oracle database or an Oracle autonomous database, and you don't see these options, this graph analytics and database analytics, that is because you haven't enabled that. By default, in Oracle Analytics Cloud, this option is enabled, but someone can disable. Okay, it's part of what administrators can do, right? If that is the case, if you come here and you don't see that, the database analytics and graph analytics option, just go to console, and I won't say that, I just want to show you this. Go to console again, system settings, performance and compatibility. And we have enable database analytics node in data flow. Okay, it's enabled here. It's enabled by default when you create Oracle Lynx Cloud instance. But in case you, for some reason, you don't see it when you have an Oracle database or Oracle Autonomous Database data source, go to admin, go to your admin, or if you are the admin, check this one. Okay.
Adel, let me point out one thing real quick while you're on this, because it addresses a question. See that choice, enable auto insights on data sets? You need to turn that on as well for this.
That is why
Amit, who asked a question, he's putting his question in Q&A. We do have some questions. I just saw this on the screen and said, Adel has exactly what this person is asking. So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt, Adel. Go ahead.
No problem. So yes, that in this particular version of Oracle Lynx Cloud is disabled. So if you want to have the enable auto insights, you need to come here and enable it, as I explained at the beginning. And also remember that you have to enable each existing data set that you already have. If you're going to include any new data sets, you don't have to, because it's going to be included automatically. But if you already have existing data sets in your Oracle Lynx Cloud and you enable this, you need to go to each data set and enable the option. Okay, and the last thing that I want to show you, and let me come back here. So we saw the Oracle Machine Learning very quickly, database, graph. And one thing that's it's very, very nice, and it's a lot of things that are going on, is the machine learning and OCI integration. Machine learning integration for me is, when it happened, it was like 2 years ago or something like that. It was, it was a dream, because one thing that I also mentioned in some other presentation is use the right tool for the right job. So if you want, for example, if you're business users and want to play a little bit with Oracle, with machine learning, you can use OAC machine learning. But if we are talking of an important amount of rows, right, a huge amount of rows, or we are talking about an enterprise deployment, you need to use machine learning in the database, that's for sure. And for that, what you have to do is to register a machine learning model. This is an Oracle Autonomous Database connection that I already have. And these are the machine learning models that I have created and I have access to, right? So instead of using a machine learning model in OAC, I can use the machine learning models that are in the database, in the Oracle database, and I can have all the power that Autonomous Data Warehouse has in an Exadata server instead of running here in OAC. And in fact, I can create my own machine learning model with AutoML, with Oracle Machine Learning for Python, with Oracle Machine Learning for SQL, very more complex stuff than just the ones that OAC offers me, okay? And when I register some, let me register this one, for example. I will have it here in the machine learning option, and I can apply them in the same way that I apply the OAC machine learning model. So I can select one of my database data sets and apply model, and voila, you will see this voila. It was in honor to Philippe Lyon. Okay, and you can apply the machine learning model and it's going to run in the database. It's the same thing with the Oracle database analytic functions. These functions are not going to run in OAC, the same with the graph. They're going to run in the database, right? But here you're going to run it autonomous. So perfect, right shop for the right tool. If you have the opportunity to have an Oracle database integrated with Oracle Lynx Cloud, that is a great way to do it. There is another option that I don't have the time to demo it, but at least I will show you to you, which is register an OCI function. Okay, so we can create a function in OCI, and let me show you here. We can create an OCI function. I can register. First of all, I need to create a connection for my OCI resource. And then I can register an OCI function. I can create a script, basically. I can create a script in Python, Java, and then create a new data flow, select the data set that I want, and apply that script. Okay? So this is also very powerful. And in the roadmap, we're going to see more OCI integrations with OAC, which is great. First of all, we're going to have the OCI AI vision is already there. I think they probably have it in the next version of OAC next quarter. Also with OCI AI language. Okay, this is AI services in OCI, and also with OCI data science. So you can create machine learning models in OCI data science and going to be integrated in Oracle Analytics Cloud. Okay, so I try to do it as fast as I can. I imagine that we have questions.
Thanks, Adel. Appreciate that. We have time for just a couple questions. One that came up that came up is there a way to get the sample demo data as part of the recording? I know that the recording is available on will be on the YouTube channel soon.
Yes.
We'll split it up in pieces. Tell us a little bit about the sample data set you used, Adel.
Yeah, about the data set, let me go to OAC library. What I use is part of the Oracle Analytics Examples library. I can put, we have this in our helpful links. I can put it also in the chat. Okay, to everyone, okay. Okay, and then you can download these data sets and import it into Oracle Analytics Cloud. And remember that you can have the free trial for Autonomous Data Warehouse. When you have this free tier in Oracle, you have also 300 credits that you can use, for example, to create this, to create an OAC instance. Just remember to start it and stop it every time that you use it. And you have a lot of data sets here that you can use, many, many, many.
All right, thanks. Another question that came up is there an option to tune the ML models?
To tune it in OAC?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way the question, maybe that's best off followed up afterwards, because I think that's maybe in OAC,
no, because it's not, so you can see the accuracy of this machine learning model and try to change some values, but you don't have a utility is what you ask, you know, a utility.
Yeah, and there's a couple other questions in Q&A. Maybe we're best off having you handle them. One of is, can we have more outputs since it's probability instead of comparing to a threshold for a logistic regression model when applying a model? Lots of good questions in here for you, Adel.
Okay, I would love to answer them after.
Well, thanks, Adel, for going through everything. Really appreciate you walking through all of that and giving us a sense of how this all comes together.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.